Here's a question for you. What's the archetypal male power fantasy? Go ahead, pause the video if you have to, and really give it a good think. It's not a trick question. I promise you already know the answer, even if you don't know that you know it. Okay, do you think you have it? You're correct. It's the damsel in distress and or the rags to riches narratives. Think of Sleeping Beauty and Aladdin, respectively. In both cases, a strong, handsome, clever young rogue either slays a savage monster or defeats an evil tyrant, and in so doing, he obtains both the royal title, if he didn't already have one, and all of the wealth and status that comes with, as well as the hottest wife in the land to boot. Now, if you weren't born yesterday, this wasn't any great revelation for you. But now let me ask you another question. What is the archetypal female power fantasy? Any guesses? No. All right, I'll tell you. It's the Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast story types, both of which, if you think about it, are just the male power fantasy from the damsel's perspective. Rather than going off and slaying the monster, she tames it. Rather than becoming the sovereign, she woos him. After all, female power, when you get right down to it, is covert, whereas male power is overt. You don't see women charging up storming the castle gate. Why should they when they can seduce the guards into lowering the drawbridge? This is where our masculine and feminine archetypes themselves arise from. Men are expected to be open and straightforward. We're supposed to say what we mean and mean what we say. Integrity is the core of our honor, whereas women are expected to be subtle and covert. This is why they're not the ones that go out and swing swords around. Men are simply better suited for heavy combat, as well as Game of Thrones-style politicking, which leaves women's sole dominion over the social and domestic spheres, which is a sort of power in its own right, just not the sort that makes for exciting box art. Women may not sit on the throne, but they can control the guy on it, or at least some of them can, which comes with its own trade-off set of rewards and benefits. Greater job security, for one thing. But this dynamic also saddles the modern storyteller with a massive marketing problem. By definition, the average woman is not Cinderella or Belle or Jasmine or Aurora. They're not the fairest in the land, and so haven't the faintest hope of being the one to catch the prince's eye at the ball. And this is where your Harlequin romance stuff, like 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight, come into the picture, both of which are just Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast, starring your garden variety Plain Jane. If you're at all familiar with those types of stories, or the tropes most commonly associated with them, you'll have definitely heard some iteration of this line. He, referring to the male love interest, could have any woman he chose. But you'll notice they never ask the obvious question. If he could have any woman on Earth, then why on earth would he ever choose you, Miss Jane Doe Average? On a completely unrelated note, have you ever noticed how the Disney renditions of Cinderella and Belle focus exclusively on their personality and brush off their physical beauty as an unimportant afterthought? Why would that be, do you suppose? And as long as we're shooting speculative darts, how come the male heroes are never allowed to actually kill the monster or villain? Why does it always have to be karma or their own stupidity that does them in? Why can the good guy not be shown to literally conquer evil? And with that, I think I'll leave you alone with all these happy thoughts. Until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and don't forget, separate but equal is as nonsensical now as it was back in the Jim Crow era. Peace.